September 11, 2001. The collapse of the World Trade Center forever changed the world as we know it.
This is a public speak out.
In the spring of 2003, a group calling themselves the No Police State Coalition began to assemble 3 times a week in New York's Union Square Park. In order for the speeches to be heard above the noisy Manhattan traffic, the participants made use of a handheld bullhorn to amplify their messages.
When I was right here, he got handcuffed. When he got handcuffed, I don't know about him. There's been a couple. That felt like a totalitarian state right there.
Since New York City law prohibits the public use of any sound amplification device without a permit, the New York police began arresting anyone at the rallies who spoke out on the bullhorn.
Freedom of speech! 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 Freedom of speech!
What has followed these events is a monumental struggle, one in which countless American citizens have been arrested, jailed, and prosecuted for speaking out against the war and against the policies of this government. Watch now as a large group of police officers approach a crowd of citizens who are peacefully assembling. With no provocation and for no good cause, the police begin arresting key members of the group. The most prominent member of the group is Jeffrey Blank. That's Jeffrey in the straw hat. He wasn't even speaking at the time this arrest occurred.
Freedom of speech! Freedom of speech!
He's been arrested numerous times for speaking in Union Square. As a result of these arrests, Jeffrey faces trial by the New York Criminal Court.
Police state looks like! This is what a fucking police state looks like! Take a good look!
If convicted, Jeffrey could serve 4 years in prison.
And we've got to start challenging a system that benefits a handful of rich people. And we've got to fight it back, gain after gain after gain. Like the first thing should be an increase of the minimum wage. The first thing to a living wage. That should be the first thing. The first thing. $5.15, make it $10.15. $10.15 for everyone. The first thing. The first thing. Free education for every single person in this country. Every person with a student loan debt, raise your hand. All student loans, null and void. Null and void. Education is a right. Free health care for every single person in this country. If Saddam Hussein is a dictator. If Saddam Hussein is a dictator, to provide free health care for every Iraqi, then the least this country can do is provide health care for every single American. Every single American.
Jeffrey works here, at Jacob Riis Beach in Rockaway, Queens, New York City. This popular summer recreation area is where Jeffrey has served his community as a lifeguard for nearly a decade.
This is my 9th summer as a lifeguard. I started working here in 1997. And I've worked every summer since 97.
How many lives would you say you saved during years at Riis Park?
Well, directly, I've probably saved about 50, 60 people's lives from drowning death. But every day, you save countless lives by instructing people to stay away from hazards and keeping them away from these dangerous jetties and pilings that are in the water.
What do you think of Jeffrey Blank? Describe him as a person, as a lifeguard.
Jeff's a good guy. He's devoted to what he does. As a lifeguard, he's fun. Makes the time go by quick. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy.
Jeff Blank is a good guy. He's a great lifeguard. Very intelligent. Learn a lot from the conversations we have together on the chair throughout the summer. It's definitely time well appreciated on my part.
What do you think about his political work?
Well, while I don't agree with every stance Jeffrey takes in the political world, I do back him and agree with him that there is a police state forming here in the United States, and it's very dangerous. I respect Jeffrey for taking a stance and fighting, like I said before, tooth and nail for the rights that are ours.
Jeffrey's brother Jason Blank works here at New York City Technical College.
Every time they try to attack my right to speak or Jeffrey's right to speak, they're attacking all of our rights to speak.
We don't need a permit to speak, so we continue speaking, especially Jeffrey, and he's a man who, when he's got something to say, there's nothing that's going to shut him up. So he continues speaking, and as a result, he got arrested multiple times. Other members of the group got arrested multiple times. Every single week, in 2004, in the spring of 2004, there was an arrest every single week. And every time they'd arrest us, there'd be a huge outcry in the park.
You're not allowed to have an assembly in a park with more than 20 people without a permit. Well, there's over 20 people here. So when the time is right, and when these idiots think they can get away with it, they'll try to shut this down. They'll try to shut this down. So we've got to keep pushing for more freedom, more rights, and more respect. Only in the wake of 9/11 could the police justify this political repression that I have never seen, and probably most people here have never seen. These policemen are not here to protect us. That's right. They are not here to protect us. They are here to repress us. They are here to crush the movement.
9/11 was the wake-up call, and once I realized that the government, especially George Bush, was going to use 9/11 to justify going into Iraq, even though Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11, I realized it's time I got off my butt and became more active. And I didn't want to be someone who, when I spoke to my grandchildren, and they said, "What did you do when all these terrible things were happening?" I didn't want to say, "I didn't do anything." I didn't want to say, "I stood silent while tyranny was taking root in the United States."
The same list of unconstitutional laws they have, which are unconstitutional and need not be followed by any freedom-loving citizen of this country. The same list of laws that forbid using the megaphone without a permit